continuous learning experience. I was today years old when I found out that flammable and inflammable mean the same thing.
Well, I put it out.
Oh, well done. Words, eh? Even video games contain lessons for those players who know where to look. Except certain games have extremely sus lessons tucked away within that should not be heeded, and we're here to flag the most dubious. Have a watch and beware 7 hilariously bad lessons hidden in video games. And spoilers for these games.
Something is coming. You can feel it, can you? We are creeping toward the edge. And there will be a reckoning.
Just as a stopped clock is correct twice a day, a murderous death cult yelling about the apocalypse will sometimes get it right. That's the upshot of Far Cry 5, wherein the region of Hope County, Montana has fallen under the sway of preacher Joseph Seed, who's on a big recruitment drive for his violent doomsday cult named Eden's Gate.
See, everything's coming to an end. You can feel that. I know you can. See, mankind is weak and vulnerable. And we are hurtling towards our destruction, and no one is willing to do anything about it.
Like every Far Cry villain before him, Joseph Seed is a charismatic dickhead, but with less good hair than a vast Montenegro or a pagan Min.
You've been given a gift. Now it remains to be seen whether you choose to embrace it or to cast it aside.
As a rule of thumb, I would have said never join a cult where the leader has a man bun. And yet, the way Far Cry 5 plays out, after you've spent dozens of hours and zillions of bullets defying Joseph Seed and his sibling lieutenants, you can defeat the man himself and arrest him for his crimes, just in time for the start of the apocalypse that he was predicting all along.
And pour from the vials the wrath of God upon the earth.
The nightmarish nuclear devastation that follows while you flee in search of safety proves that Seed wasn't just a delusional psychopath or even a cunning grifter, but actually 100% accurate and correct when it came to forecasting the end of days, and the need for massive underground bunkers to shelter the Armageddon survivors who were deemed worthy. So, congratulations to him, I guess. If that wasn't bad enough, now you have to wait out the nuclear apocalypse in a bunker with a man whose go-to topic of conversation is "told you so."
It means I was right.
Cool. Do we have Scrabble or anything?
At this point, we all know that perfectionism is the enemy of progress, and the important thing is to get something done, not get it perfect. How else could we have written a script like this every week for the last 588 weeks? But you try telling that to snowboys, the sentient snow creatures in Animal Crossing New Horizons, who you build with your own bare hands by rolling up one big snowball, then rolling up a second very slightly smaller snowball, then rolling that one up on top of the first. If you achieve the highly specific but never explicitly stated perfect ratio of head ball to body ball, then the resultant snowboy will be overjoyed by the perfection you have wrought and shower you with gifts. If you screw up even a little bit though and build a snowboy who falls just short of perfection, you'll wind up with an ungrateful snow jerk. Never mind that you've created life itself from a mound of inanimate frosty flakes, this slightly suboptimal snowboy has only passive-aggressive disdain for his imperfect proportions. You will receive precisely 0 reward for this and any other snowboy who fails to meet the exacting standard of snowboy beauty, thereby underlining that on this island, anything less than perfection is worthless. It's been said that perfectionism is less the love of perfection and more the fear of being judged. And the judgment of these sarcastic snowboys proves that to be true. Which is why from now on I will exclusively be creating snowboys with freakishly oversized heads. And that's how I got my revenge on life. I mean, overcame my perfectionism.
Lara! You gotta get out of here.
Say what you like about stealing, it is taking things that don't belong to you. And like the British Museum in a tank top and ponytail, Lara Croft has a long, proud tradition of stealing ancient artifacts from all over the world. Most of the time, the only problem with thieving an old-timey treasure is how do you get a mummy-shaped bag through customs at Heathrow. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider, on the other hand, Lara finds herself in Mexico on the trail of an ancient dagger.
Someone set off the trap at the first sight. We think it was Croft.
The dagger is surrounded by depictions of terrible cataclysms, but there's no way of knowing whether that's something to worry about or whether the ancient Maya were just big fans of dramatic murals.
Jonah, I found a dagger. There's an inscription. The key to Ishel's heart unlocks the cleansing.
And that could mean anything. For Lara, the obvious course of action is to prevent shady paramilitary group Trinity from stealing this powerful relic by stealing this powerful relic. This in turn unleashes a massive tsunami that destroys the surrounding region and kills presumably hundreds of people off screen. If there is a lesson to be learned, you would think it's to not steal mysterious artifacts with powers beyond your understanding. But no. It actually transpires that the only solution to this problem is to steal a second mysterious artifact with powers beyond your understanding and hope that this one doesn't destroy the Earth.
The box of Ishel.
Luckily, it doesn't. For you see, only this mystical knife box can neutralize the ongoing apocalypse unleashed by the mystical knife from earlier. Eventually, it does. Hooray for stealing ancient artifacts, the cause of and solution to all of Lara's problems. Just as well, the moral of the story is to keep on taking relics until the world is saved, because that's what Lara was going to do anyway.
But the mysteries of the world are to cherish more than to solve. I'm just one of their many protectors.
And I'm protecting them here in my mansion. What?
Start!
Of all the mushroom species in existence, only about 4 or 5% are actually edible. It is a terrible example set by Mario, of Mario Brothers fame therefore, to go and gobble up whatever mushroom he stumbles across. In particular, the red with white spots super mushroom. It may bestow cool powers in the Mushroom Kingdom, but here on planet Boring, it closely resembles the Amanita muscaria, aka the fly Amanita, aka the one mushroom you draw when you're trying to draw a mushroom. The fly Amanita is unfortunately poisonous, and ingestion causes symptoms that include nausea, drowsiness, mood changes, vomiting, hallucinations, and delirium. In fact, just last year, a California hospital had to warn locals to stay away from the fly Amanita after exceptionally cool and wet conditions caused the mushroom to flourish, and a small number of patients, all of them children, ate some and wound up in the emergency room. Fatalities are exceptionally rare, but also there's not a single recorded case of a patient getting bigger or stronger or a fun sound effect. In conclusion, it is hard to endorse the Super Mario message of reckless mushroom consumption. If anything, Mario should be instead eating Goombas, which are officially based on harmless shiitake mushrooms, which are officially the most delicious fungus there is. Meanwhile, what kind of mushroom is Toad based on? Is he poisonous? How does he taste fried in garlic butter? The need for further research is clearly indicated.
You claim not to be a believer, and yet here you are. Don't you see him? The prophet is already here. I am the prophet. Now give me the apple.
Come and take it from me.
Assassin's Creed 2 begins as a story of revenge. When, after Ezio's dad and brothers are framed for treason and hanged by city official Uberto Alberti,
Father!
Ezio undergoes one full day of assassin training, then stabs him to death in the street. That ought to do it. No? So Assassin's Creed 2 continues as a story of revenge, wherein Ezio learns of his family's secret history as noble assassins and of the shadowy Templar conspiracy that cost Ezio's father his life.
You said my father was more than just a banker.
No use dancing around it, I suppose. Your father was an assassin, Ezio.
Ezio's vengeance leads him on a long and bloody trail, murdering Templars, soldiers and guards in their hundreds in pursuit of, eventually, the Templar Grand Master, Rodrigo Borgia.
You were not followed.
Absolutely. Everything went perfectly. We have followed your orders exactly as specified. The mission to Cyprus was more...
Ezio.
The final time you catch up to Rodrigo Borgia, over 10 years and an estimated 867 kills after the execution of Ezio's father, Borgia has become Pope Alexander VI, just like in real life.
Requiescat in pace, you bastard.
I don't think so.
Historians are divided on whether or not he had a magical pope staff. In any case, when you have sufficiently beat Borgia's ass in the ancient alien vault beneath the Vatican, Ezio goes in for the classic killing cutscene and...
No. Killing you won't bring my family back. I'm done. Nulla è reale. Tutto è lecito. Requiescat in pace.
Which goes to show how the best revenge is not forgiveness or a life well lived, but to kill around 1,000 people, some of whom were just doing their jobs, and then stop. This is also conveniently compatible with the real-life history of Pope Alexander VI, who went on to die from a fever that made his skin peel off and his face turn purple. So maybe that was the best revenge. Ezio, you've done it again.
Claire Redfield, you're coming with us.
No, there must be some kind of...
Resident Evil Revelations 2 stars Resident Evil series veterans Claire Redfield and Barry Burton, as well as up-and-comer Moira Burton, Barry's daughter.
Uh-oh. What'd he do this time?
Barry. Every time I ask him anything, he pushes back.
Claire and Barry are obviously handy with firearms, and just as well because the young Moira never uses them, preferring to instead use a flashlight and curse words. The reason for Moira's aversion to guns is that when she was a child, she accidentally shot her sister, Barry blamed her for the accident, and she has had a phobia of guns ever since. Which, fair enough, you'd think. This trauma-induced phobia becomes significant when Moira and Claire get into a fight with a gigantic virus monster mutated from their boss, a TerraSave executive called Neil. When Claire and Moira are both knocked down, you're suddenly presented with a quick-time event. Mash the button to grab the gun and, as Claire, shoot the monster formerly known as Neil.
Where did we go wrong?
Your other option is to switch characters, but given that Claire is the gun pro and the only thing Moira has ever shot is her sister, by accident, why would you? In fact, the reason to switch characters is to help Moira get over her crippling fear of guns, via the exposure therapy of shooting Neil several times in the face while yelling, "Go jump on a dildo, boss."
Go jump on a dildo, boss!
Trust the process. This moment frees Moira from fear and unlocks her potential because, emboldened by her newfound affinity for guns, she turns up towards the end of the game just in time to shoot another gigantic virus monster, thus saving the little girl her dad's been looking after, and also her dad.
Moira!
If you finish the fight with Neil by having Claire do the shooting, on the other hand, Moira never overcomes her irrational fear of guns and is instead later crushed to death by falling masonry. Because the only thing to fear is fear itself. And falling masonry.
What did she expect?
Sir, I know these are dangerous times, but please.
I know your mission tonight. We must speak. Privately.
Dishonored doesn't have a morality system so much as a chaos system, where chaos is basically a proxy for the karma of assassin protagonist Corvo, since low chaos equates to less plague, less death, and a cheerier ending.
And now Emily Caldwin the First will take her mother's throne after a season of turmoil. You will stand at her side, Corvo, guiding her young mind and protecting her from those who seek to exploit her.
Conversely, if you conduct yourself like a steampunk-adjacent John Wick, murdering anyone and everyone on the straightest path between you and your target, you'll wind up with high chaos, which means more plague, more death, and one of those ultra-bleak endings that implies, oops, you done f***ed up.
The others are all dead, aren't they? That's alright, because I was going to have them killed anyway. I am going to be Empress.
Long live Empress Emily! To maintain low chaos, Corvo must kill as few people as possible, minimising murder while prioritising stealth and non-lethal options. Some of the non-lethal options for eliminating assassination targets, though, are dodgier than a late-night kebab. In the case of fancy socialite Lady Boyle, you can, instead of killing her, deliver her unconscious into the care of creepy weirdo Lord Brisby, who has an elaborate plan of kidnap and lifelong imprisonment for the object of his obsession.
You'll never know how happy you've made me. Someday she'll learn to appreciate me. After all, she'll have her whole life.
Oh. This option reduces chaos, which means in the game's own karmic currency, it is objectively better than simply assassinating Lady Boyle like a normal hard-working hitman. Maybe the game assumed that otherwise I would have had her eaten by a swarm of rats. I don't do that to everyone. The rats get tired.
Right, thanks for watching. Those were 7 hilariously bad video game lessons hidden within video games, along with the one good lesson at the top about how inflammable, flammable mean the same thing. And yet when they call me the infamous Jane Douglas, that's a bad thing, apparently. Words, eh? So, if you'd like to watch one of those 588, 89 weeks worth of lists mentioned previously, here is a playlist that you could binge from now until somewhere near the end of time. And then there's also another fresh list from Outside Extra. Enjoy either of those. Go to patreon.com/oxclub if you'd like to support the channel, and we'll see you next time.